Why Jack Grealish didn't make it at Man City? Y'all, this will blow your mind. 3 game weeks into the new Premier League season, and Jack Grealish has found new life at Everton, sitting on 4 assists in just 2 starts already. Rebirth of sorts, full of flickers of the talent that once made him England's golden boy. Yet, to understand why his renaissance feels so refreshing, we first need to revisit the shadows of Manchester, where a $100 million price tag weighed heavier than his boots. Once upon a not-so-distant transfer window, $100 million could land you Cristiano Ronaldo, Gareth Bale, a football demigod. But in the summer of 2021, $100 million got the citizens nothing but a six-pack and a lad who knows every pub in Manchester by name. When Manchester City threw a cool $100 million at Aston Villa for Jack Grealish, they weren't just buying a player. Oh no, they thought they were investing in a superstar, a magician, a midfield maestro, the heir to David Silva's throne. Maybe even the creative sidekick to an aging De Bruyne. What they got instead was a walking nightclub flyer. To be fair, City could have had Harry Kane for the same money, but Daniel Levy, like a bitter ex, refused to let his golden boy join a rival top 6 club. So City said, screw it, and got themselves the king of banter. 4 years later, what do they have to show for it? Not enough goals, not enough assists, certainly not dominance. Nope. Jack Grealish's highlight reel mostly kicked off after the final whistle. Champagne showers, empty beer cans, and viral clips of him wobbling out of pubs like a man trying to dodge gravity. If there's a party in Manchester and Grealish isn't there, did it even happen? Early on, it was brushed off, just a lad enjoying his success. Even Pep Guardiola, the man who'd probably fine you for chewing gum on the pitch, defended him. England teammates shrugged it off. Everyone tried to look away, but Tyrone Mings at one point didn't. No, sir. The man once politely declined a trip with Grealish, admitting his parties were too wild. When your own boy says, yeah, I value my liver, that's when you know something's off. Since you're enjoying this video, subscribe and turn on the post notification for more of this. Now, irrespective of how he performs at Everton, Grealish is done at City. A season-long loan with no buy obligation is the modern transfer tactic of saying, we don't want you here. Go figure it out yourself. According to the grapevine, or more accurately, his mates and family, before he left City for Everton this window, he told them he felt frozen out. Pep, of course, did what any seasoned manager does, flashed the PR smile, downplayed the drama, and gave media-friendly answers. But we're not fools. Pep's ridiculous $180 million, $203 million January transfer hustle, which brought in Omar Marmoush, and those subtle team selections toward the end of the season, that's all the tea you need. But it didn't have to end like this. Grealish's move to City was supposed to be his moment, his destiny. After all, the guy didn't just show up at Villa, he carried them. From academy prodigy to club captain, dragging them into the Premier League, keeping them there, and dazzling in the process. 16 goal contributions in 26 league games in the 2020-2021 season? That's not just good, that's heroic. But what did Jack do with his clean slate? He used it to wipe up spilled vodka. Let's rewind a bit, shall we? Back in April 2015, a teenage Grealish made headlines, not for a screamer, but for sucking down hippie crack. Nitrous oxide. Tabloids had a field day. Aston Villa's Tim Sherwood issued a stern dad warning, sort yourself out, lad. But Jack was just warming up. Fast forward 6 months. Villa gets smashed by Everton. Jack responds by heading to a Manchester nightclub. Remy Gard, then manager, says, no thanks, and drops him from the squad. A wake-up call? You'd think. But let's give the benefit of the doubt. He was still a kid. Surely, when he moved to a Guardiola-led elite footballing machine like City, he'd clean up his act. Wrong. In 2020, during peak lockdown, when the world was basically on pause, Jack decided it was party o'clock. He broke lockdown rules, partied hard, and crashed a Range Rover in slippers. If that doesn't scream chaos, I don't know what does. The images were everywhere, stumbling, red-eyed, barefoot like he was auditioning for a reality show. That same year, he racked up a driving ban for crashing into 2 parked cars, smelled of alcohol, could barely stand, fined £220,000, but the real damage was to his reputation. At this point, it was less he's young, and more he might need a babysitter. By December 2021, he dragged Phil Foden into the mix for a cheeky night out. Pep responded like any disappointed parent, benched both of them the next game. You'd think Phil would have learned never to follow Jack into a dark alley again. Then there was the infamous Benjamin Mendy New Year's Eve party in 2020. Guess who's rumored to have been there? You already know. And don't forget summer 2023. City just completed a historic treble. Jack celebrated like he was personally responsible for every goal, despite having all the on-pitch impact of a malfunctioning corner flag. 3 straight days of celebration. He rocked up to England camp hungover, probably still seeing double. Last season, he's barely laced up. Just 16 starts in all competitions. This is a City team that competed in nearly 60 official games this season, by the way. 1 Premier League goal against relegated Leicester, no less. But he still had the stamina to stumble out of a Newcastle pub early this year after a match against Plymouth. 1 hand on a bottle, the other trying to remember which way was up. And of course, after City's 4th straight league title, while the team was home chilling, Grealish was still out, lost in the neon mist. When Kevin De Bruyne had his farewell bash, guess who closed the bar? Like a loyal bartender refusing to leave his post. At this point, you've got to wonder, does Jack Grealish play football, or is football just his side hustle between parties? Naturally, the constant booze, late nights, and lads' holidays are catching up with him. The injuries, the niggles, the reduced minutes, it's all connected. You can't live like an 80s rock star and expect to sprint for 90 minutes every week. City, by their own standards, underachieved last season. When they were desperately fighting for Champions League qualification on the final day, Pep left Grealish out of the squad. At Fulham. If that's not a statement, what is? At this point, though he now looks happy and fit again at Everton, the real question is, how long until his old demons come around again? Everton fans are happy. Moyes recently said, Jack has been way better than he expected him to be, and that's good. But the real fear is this, how long until he returns to the bottle? Because you know, a happy Jack is almost synonymous to a drunk Jack. Jack Grealish was meant to be the guy. City's game changer. Now, he's a $100 million cautionary tale. A man who could drop $3,000 at the bar, but can't drop a shoulder on the pitch. Even at a discounted price, not many top clubs queued up to sign him permanently. Because let's be real, what's he offering? Every top European club already has bartenders.